frick, yeah, dude, that's a beast. Yeah, good. Man, I thought we were gonna lose it right there. Oh yeah! Let's go! Son of a bitch, dude, look!
Alright, so what we're going to be going over today is pure fishing for winter, more like late fall and winter lake trout, and winter coho, but more of spring coho. So for winter lake trout, Benton Harbor, South Haven, to Grand Haven, Manistee, Muskegon, Ludington, all of these piers, you're going to be able to jig and bottom fish for lake trout. And also on the east side, Caseville, Port Austin, Tawas to some extent, all of these piers you're able to cast for and bottom fish for lake trout. Alright, and we're now going to be going over how to get baits for bottom fishing these lake trout. So in May and early June, the alewife spawn happens on the west side of the state. So all of these piers, essentially from Benton Harbor all the way up to Frankfort, are going to have alewives in the harbors that you can catch. You can cast at them, or you can catch them with sabiki rigs. With these sabiki rigs, you just cast them out, reeling them slow. This is a good way to get bigger alewives, but if you just want to get as many alewives as possible, cast at them. And another bait you could use if you live on the east side is practically every harbor from Caseville to Lexington, whether it be the harbor or the marinas, gets emerald shiners in them, and a few of them, Caseville, Port Austin, some backwaters on Lake St. Clair get gizzard shad and other species of shad. If you're using emerald shiners, get as big of emerald shiners as possible, and I'd say put 3 to 4 of them on one hook. So you just want nice big juicy baits for these lake trout. If you can happen to find gizzard shad can get very big. If you get a gizzard shad upward of 2 pounds, 1.5 pound to 2 pounds, I'd say cut it in half and use half of it as bait. And that's it. When you're getting these emerald shiners on the east side, use a dip net. That is the most effective way to get them. If you're getting shad against sabiki rigs, or just using cast nets is what I find to work best. Alright, and the first thing we're going to be going over is the bottom fishing method for catching winter and spring lake trout. I like these Ugly Stick GX2s, 9 foots. These were great for pier rods. They're cheap. They're easy to get 3 of them for your to fill out your setup. And the reel I pair with them, it'd be any size 4,000 or 5,000 reel. And I'd fill it up with just your basic 12-pound mono. I use this Grand Slam stuff. You can buy a ton of it, 4,000 360 yards for only $35. It is the most cost-effective, and this line is great. And then the rig we're going to be using is just your basic bottom rig with a sliding sinker. So sliding sinker slides like these. I like using 3-ounce weights off Great Lakes piers. And then your sinker slide with a 3-ounce weight to a barrel swivel to some Seaguar lead label. That's what I like to use. 12 pounds. I like a 3-foot leader, and then if you're fishing shad and alewives, I like to use size 2 treble hooks. These Gamakatsus, you can't beat Gamakatsus. And then it's as simple as that. Walk down to the middle of the pier. You can catch fish both lakeside and harborside doing this. And it's probably the most simple and effective way to catch lake trout. Alright, so now I'm going to be going over hardware fishing for these lake trout in the late fall, winter, and spring. So I just go with a 9-foot medium casting rod, and for the reel, your favorite bait caster, and split it up with 12-pound test. You don't need to cast crazy far for these lake trout. It's not like when you're fishing for kings and you're going to the end of the pier and you're casting as far as you can. For lake trout, you're fishing riverside, mostly on west side piers, and you're casting maybe to the middle of riverside or harborside. You're casting to the middle and you're jigging it back to you. And for Caseville and Port Austin, you're just casting and giving a slow retrieve, or you can also cast and jig. You don't have to make big long casts like you would fishing for kings. So for our baits, I like lipless crankbaits and blade baits. Honestly, for lake trout, they are not picky at all. You can kind of just throw whatever you want. Any lipless crankbait, any blade bait. If the lake trout are there, they will smash it. People make jokes like, "Oh, if you got a tin can with a hook on it, it'll catch lake trout." So you get any blade bait, any lipless crank, jig it on Caseville, Port Austin, cast, slow retrieve, and it'll work. And then Caseville, Port Austin, any little Cleo, 3/4 ounce, you cast, slow retrieve. You probably catch a lake trout when the lake trout are in. When the lake trout are in, the fishing can be great. But again, as always, any fishing, it can be hit or miss. But if you go at the right time, you can have a blast fishing for fall, late fall, winter, and spring lake trout. Alright, for winter, but more of spring cohos, where we're going to be focusing on is Benton Harbor, Buffalo, Michigan City, and Port Saranac, Lexington to some extent, Harbor Beach, Port Hope. All of these are going to have fishable numbers of winter, but more of spring coho fishing. And I'll explain what I mean by that later in the video. Alright, and now we're going to be going over hardware fishing for winter and spring cohos. So winter and spring cohos are small. The biggest you get is 4 pounds, maybe. So I like this 9'6" light, and I rig it up with 10-pound test, even 8-pound if you're feeling like it. But coho aren't line shy, so just your line straight to your lure. And I just like tossing little Cleos for them. Your nickel and blue, your nickel and green, and your nickel and orange dots are the best. You can go 3/4 ounce, but I find that to be a little big. So I'll maybe go 1/2 ounce, or even if you're fishing some of the smaller harbors like Port Saranac, you can fish even 1/4 ounce. Little Cleos, and those work great for spring cohos. Again, spring cohos are small. I'd say the average spring coho is a 1/2 pound to a pound. So I mean, you can't get them bigger, but average is probably 1/2 pound to a pound. Okay, and for fishing spring cohos with bait, it's gonna be the same thing, just like fishing lake trout with bait. Same rod, same reel, I'd say. Keep your same main line, but the only difference is you're going to be fishing, I'd say we use an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader instead of a 12 or 14-pound. Use a very small triple hook, I'd say a size 12 triple hook instead of a 2. And the biggest difference is you are going to be fishing with floating spawn bags. You can buy it here on Amazon, obviously, but this is crazy expensive. The most cost-effective way is to make these yourself. You can. There's tons of videos on YouTube on how to make these. Probably done way better than I could make them. How to cure your own salmon or steelhead eggs. How to tie them into spawn bags. Tie them with floaters. What sizes? How you want to use them. And yeah. So last thing we're going to go over is when you're fishing for spring cohos, you on the west side especially, always fish lake side. Never fish harbor side. Well, I've seen a few caught harbor side, but 95% of your fish, more like 99% of your fish, are going to be caught lakeside, on the west side. On the east side, it's a little different. The fish are kind of everywhere. because a lot of those harbors don't have rivers connected to them. Port Salonik, it's just kind of all blue water. There isn't really any difference to the water, to the clarity, to anything. So the corals are just kind of spread around randomly. Port Salonik specifically, I like to fish harborside. I catch more fish harborside, but I catch a lot of fish lakeside too. You never know where they're going to be or where they're going to be at. They're just falling around the bait. And that's about it, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope that was very informative for you. That's about it.